episode 6
Hey.
of the Friction Podcast. Hello.
Hello.
I'm your host, Mr. Duron Flood. We're going to start with the Mr. on the end.
All right. Well, Will, kind of like your phone bill, so we're sticking with that.
That's what I was going to say. I don't even know why it still excites me every time you say
to
it.
my left right here.
Zaya like fire, your resident soulful wild child.
And we have a special guest today, Commonwealth attorney, Miss Stephanie Morales. Hello.
Yay.
I want a name that rhymes too. I need a special name before we
Commonwealth attorney.
I'm gonna think of it before the end of the day.
What
come up with
what
it.
rhymes with Stephanie and or Morales that's witty?
I don't know. I think Commonwealth attorney is pretty good. We're gonna stick with that.
Oh,
Okay.
Stephanie, common with
Look,
attorney.
She's on
No,
a
it
Friction
does rhyme.
Podcast. We're not going to
I
deal
need
with
a
all
name.
the...
Yeah, I need
Right.
a special name next time.
Next
We'll
episode,
ride with
yes,
that
next
today.
one,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, no, we got it. I'm gonna think of it. It's gonna come to me.
All right, so episode 6. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, share, reshare,
Comment.
tell your friend, go in the comments, go in about Will because you know he's going to say something ridiculous.
Right.
Shout out to just another media company, my guy Kadeem, the Phantom host. We appreciate everything that he does for the Friction crew.
Yes.
You know what time it is.
Hey.
You know what time it is. So, Miss Morales, we're going to let you go first. How we start off every segment is we talk about something that rubs us the right way and something that rubs us the wrong way. I know you're involved in a lot of things. So we want to know something that rubbed you the right way or the wrong way. Could be this week, could be this year, but we need to know.
No, I think Black brilliance is rubbing me the right way.
Aw.
I see, in this room, I see in the classroom, every interaction I have with Black people, whether it's our young Black people, whether it's our competitive athletes that we're seeing, I see so much Black brilliance, and that gives me hope. That rubs me the right way every single time. So I had to start off with that.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Look at you behaving well. Look at you. Zaya.
Yes. So my baby, my oldest, is moving out, and it just really rubbed me the right way that she wanted me to. I mean, I kind of knew, but
What's she moving to?
she's moving into her own place finally. Yes. But it just rubbed me the right way. She really wanted me to participate in the process. And then she's got everything. Like, she saved up enough so she could pay her rent like 6 months ahead and all that. But it just was nice to be invited because I'm like going through.
I know.
I'm just going through a thing right
Look
now.
at those glassy eyes, y'all. Look at them glassy eyes.
Yeah, they're getting older. So
Will,
Well,
do not mess up all the positivity, right?
I'm sorry. Speaking of a baby, the baby, whatever his name is, the baby or whatever he's called, rubbed me the wrong way. That Negro got on stage and said everything that was offensive to Black men who are in the LGBT community. He also got on there and talked about females' body parts and stuff like that. I'm trying to figure out why straight Black men are worried about things that don't affect them at all. Right. That really rubbed me the wrong way. And then to add insult to injury, you have people like T.I. who should have been in jail maybe 3 cases ago, giving his input on it and saying that, you have Little Nas X expressing himself and saying what he got to say so the baby can say whatever he have to say. The difference between the two is that Little Nas X is expressing himself, who he is as a person. The baby is over there worrying about what Black men who are grown up are doing in their cars. He's worrying about what female body parts should smell like, all that stuff. Like, bro, stick to your horrible music and sit somewhere, please. That rubbed me the wrong way.
All right, so there's something that rubbed me the wrong way, and I know I'm about to get a lot of flack for it, but whatever. That's what the Friction Podcast is about, right? Simone Biles, she rubs me the wrong way. Maybe there's a generational gap between the athletes of yesteryear and the athletes of today. In all my years of coaching athletes and being an athlete, there's a cognitive focus and a mental fortitude that comes along with performing at a really high level. And as you move through the ranks of athleticism, you get luxuries. You get things handed. Well, I won't say you get things handed because you work for those things. But her quitting the Olympics rubs me the wrong way. For a number of reasons. I don't like the quit. I hate it. You have people depending on you. You have teammates depending on you. You have your family depending on you. Not big on the United States, but you have a country depending on you. And you've worked your ass off to be the greatest ever, literally. And the difference that separates, like, the greats of the greats is the ability to overcome and to have that mental focus despite of. That's why everybody heralds Jordan, because not only did he do it once, he did it 6 times. That's why people love LeBron. When he gets put on those stages, he does it time and time and time again, regardless of the circumstance. So because of that, she rubs me the wrong way. I want to know what you guys think, because all of y'all are rolling your eyes. So we're going to open this can up. And I know that everybody wants to come to her defense because she's the GOAT. And I'm okay with being the opposition.
Where was
We'll
this?
start with you, young lady.
Yeah, you rub me the wrong way. I'm going to just keep it simple. This is a black woman.
For sure.
She is the greatest ever.
For sure.
In the sport. And she can do what she wants. Ooh. And I'm all for black women.
Yeah, a word.
That's it.
Shots fired.
Yes.
Say that again so I can do it. Okay.
Yes. She can do whatever she wants.
Yeah, I'm just downright tired of people dictating what black women should do. I don't care about sports, athleticism, competitiveness. I'm about as competitive as you can get.
Right.
And the bottom line is, some of the things I have experienced interpersonally have taught me a valuable lesson about being able to say enough is enough. I'm going to do what I want and what I need to do.
Right.
And I need to also teach my children, my sons and my daughters, that it is okay for them to do what they need to do for themselves, despite whoever else is depending on them. Because ultimately, if you break, the next athlete is going to step up and take that role on. Right. So she has to do what she needs to do. And I'm really tired of people judging her, not knowing what she's encountering and not speaking on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Zaya, what you think?
Yeah, I have to agree for several reasons. Because number one, everybody has the right to change their mind at any point.
You always say that shit.
I do, because I strongly believe in the ability to say, this no longer aligns for me. But we definitely don't know what she's dealing with at the level that she's at.
Right.
And when we're talking about mental health, and it's something that I probably bring up almost every episode, like, you don't know what a person is dealing with behind closed doors, no matter what. I mean, especially with the amount of social media access and the amount of things that people can say now, and it can just come at you from every angle. On top of the fact that as an athletic woman at her level, right, I know nutritionally women like that often don't have a cycle, which can affect them hormonally as well, because it is a hormonal thing.
Right.
Which, when you're comparing her to a male athlete,
for sure,
you're talking about something that's completely different. You don't know what she's dealing with. You don't know emotionally what's happening with her. So right, I think, like I said, I'm going to stick with, I'm a strong advocate for being able to change your mind at any time without having to give anybody, no is enough.
Right.
No.
And I mean, she was very, very like, look, I ain't doing it.
No
Even at the press conference,
no
she was just
is
like,
my
it's not
answer,
fun. I'm
and
not
I'm
doing
done.
it, and that's it. And I wish my teammates well.
Thank you.
I didn't like it.
Right.
But I respect it.
Right.
For sure. William.
I mean, I'm going to say 2 things. One, she quit because she said for her mental health. Where was this rubbing the wrong way for you when Naomi quit her tournament? Like, I think it was 3-4 weeks ago when we had an episode, and you was all for her standing up and saying, I'm going for my mental health. I'm not going to address the public, and because they want me to address the public, I'm going to get fined, and I'm not going to continue going with that. And she got out of the league. So I feel like if she did the same thing, we supported her. This is another black female. We have to support her. I don't want to say, she's there for the country. She's there for her team. But this is ultimately her decision. We supported Naomi in her little tennis.
What was your take on that?
Yeah, that was his.
So I supported her because she actually laid out the specifics. She said,
oh, so she had to give you specifics.
Right.
for sure, you got to give me
No.
specifics,
And like you
it has
said-
to make sense.
Like
No,
you
it
said,
doesn't.
she
No.
told anybody anything.
Simone she said that it's not fun anymore.
Mad.
And
I'm
it's
mad he
right.
said it like she
It's not
called
fun
him.
anymore.
And I ain't
I'm
gonna
just
do it.
like,
And that's your explanation.
Right.
that's
And she
it.
said, and I'm like, it's not fun anymore. Like, what the fuck is that? What do you
I
mean?
mean,
it's
as an
not fun
athlete, I
anymore?
see how you take things like that more serious.
Right.
I'm
What do you
just
mean
I'm
it's
here
not-
for her mental health. She said,
And so she's in a position that she can do those things because she is the greatest ever. Nobody can do what she does. I mean, unanimously. And for somebody who has been in those arenas, and I know people personally who may have gotten second place that wish,
but
That's
they can
not
do
her
the things.
problem.
let me.
But what I'm speaking on a village of people. You see what I'm saying? I'm speaking on behalf of village, male and female. You know what I'm saying? To just be like, you know what? This is not fun anymore. Fuck it.
Let me say this
For
though.
the second and third place, people like, damn, must be nice to be able to just say fuck it.
It is.
And then think
It
about
is.
her, and then think
It's
about
nice.
her
And when you get
teammates.
to the point where you can say fuck it, it's gonna be nice for you too.
I operate a little differently because you know I'm a community person, so I'm willing to put
You can
myself
still be in a
harm's way all the
community.
time.
You
the
can
sake of the
still be
village.
in a community
She's done that
and
already.
still take care of yourself.
I gave you the Jordan.
This is not her first. This is not her first Olympics. She's done everything she needs to do. And if you watching the Olympics, you'll see that she hasn't been performing to the level that she wants to perform at. She had a huge. I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. She was doing really bad in a couple of her floor routines.
Right.
So she's not performing at that
And-
level.
Well,
She's
let me-
already
hold on.
set the standard.
Let,
So
let
she-
me say something because this is not being addressed. You talk about Jordan, you're making these comparisons. Nobody changed the rules because
So
of
I was
Jordan's
gonna say that.
performance.
Right, I was
Nobody
gonna say
changed
that.
the rules because of LeBron.
I was going to say
Shots
that.
fired,
They
please.
Right. I was going to say that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that.
that can kill your spirit.
Right.
You know, when you are performing at such a high level that now the rules are changed because somebody else might hurt themselves
Yes.
trying to do what you're doing because only you can.
Yeah.
And so-
Well, that's when you say,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
out.
so the
well, here,
standard-
let me let y'all have this
So the
then.
standard
Let me
she
let y'all
set
have
to bring that
this.
standard down. And I don't think that's fair to her.
Right, so it's absolutely not fair. I'll acknowledge that. The committee even said that they're grading her on a skewed scale because she does things that nobody can do, who was never done before in a million years. But here's my point.
Okay.
This has happened before in sports. Y'all know who Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is, right? I think he's the greatest basketball player ever. So he was so dominant that they told him he couldn't dunk anymore because nobody else could do it like he was doing.
I didn't know that.
and they changed the rules. Imagine basketball without dunking. This man said, you know what? Cool. We're going to pivot, and I'm going to create something else that nobody else can stop. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. As an athlete, it's unacceptable. Period. Period.
not.
I think as an
Period.
athlete, it's
That's
Period.
your opinion, and I think
Period.
it's wrong.
I think as an
Period.
athlete, she can make that
You
decision.
can say period 1,000 times.
Right.
You can say it 1,000 times. You can put.
well, we know it rubs me the
Period
wrong
with a
way.
T. It rubs me the wrong way. So listen, let's get into the meat and potatoes. We
Okay.
have
Yes.
a special guest on, Miss Stephanie Morales. Let's give her a hand clap. Welcome, formally.
Thank you.
So we want to know about you, like from beginning until now. We're going to give you like 7 minutes. I want to know about little Stephanie to grown Stephanie and fill in the gaps. Let's get to know you. Let the audience get to know you because you're a trailblazer. You're an author, politics, all of these things. We need to know, like, so when I start talking shit.
Don't nobody care,
Right.
but anyway,
Right.
carry on.
Go ahead. So go ahead. Tell us about yourself. Where you from?
I'm from Portsmouth,
Hey.
of course.
Is there a
P-Town.
fart sound that we have?
There he is. He's doing Kevin Samuels again.
So now I'm being compared to Kevin Samuels. You're terrible.
I know you so well.
Uh-huh. All right. So yes.
Yeah, I'm from Portsmouth,
Mm-hmm.
proudly. I am probably have been the same person from the time I was a little girl through now. I have always been someone who has been centered around fairness. As a little girl, I had issues when things weren't fair. And the explanation that life isn't fair was never acceptable.
Right.
I love it.
So looking back then and looking at what I do now as the Commonwealth's attorney, I don't lead like most Commonwealth's attorneys lead. I'm centered around equity, not just equality and treating everybody the same, but equity and finding out what the needs of all the members of our community are, especially those who are Black, those who have been marginalized, disenfranchised, and not invested in, and really trying to create this fair and equitable opportunity for our people. And again, those who have been marginalized to have, the experiences in life that other members of our society have that we have not, like building intergenerational wealth, having adequate education, business opportunities, access to medical care, all the things that, again, really give people the opportunity to live a successful life and thrive and have healthy communities. So that is all based on what I was as a young child. And then having a family and having a sense of community. My mom, my parents, my grandmother, everybody in my community, my schools, professors in my HBCU, went to Norfolk State for undergrad.
Hey.
Really having a desire to pour into me and see me succeed. That has really made an impact on me and wanting to do that same thing and having that sense of community. So I won't take a full 7 minutes, but, at my core, that's who I am. I'm a mom first. I have 4 children. I'm a proud wife to one of his friends. And really, my goal is, once again, to fight for us to see how brilliant and special we are and have our communities reflect that.
That's dope. I'm proud of you. I know I probably.
And on that note, we can end the show.
Look, no, let him say that a little bit. What was that?
I mumbled that. No, seriously. It's important that we get into the community. As I said earlier before, I'm big on the village and how we can position ourselves within the village to, trickle down or even influence upward to get what we need to get out of the community. And because of that, we herald you. We hoist you up on. At least I do. I'm always talking about, how connected I am with people who exude all of the things that I value. And so it's really cool to have you on the show. That's the last time that I'm going to say anything that's sincere. I'm being completely transparent on this damn show, and I don't like it. I'm uncomfortable. And I'm going to ask Zaya, because she came up with some really dope questions.
Yeah.
Thank you for your contributions.
You're
always
welcome.
making sure that I'm
Always light skin with it.
heavy on the light skinned energy.
I don't even know what that means, but nevertheless.
See, you shouldn't. And that's cool. and that's cool. We don't deal with that. So, Zah, you want to introduce one of our questions?
Yeah. So one of the questions that I had, and I guess I can look at it, but I was kind of wondering what it was like for you being not only like a double minority, right? Going into the election process and dealing with the people that obviously don't look or have the same gender as you. So like, what was your biggest thing that you had to overcome during that process?
Yeah, so let's talk
about... was it more as a female or was it more as a Black woman?
It's both. And I know you heard the term misogynoir. It's a combination of misogyny and racism.
Right.
And so I've experienced that. And I'll go there, but I want to talk about the stats a little bit first.
Okay.
Statistically now, 2% of elected prosecutors in this country are Black women. That's recent. It used to be 1%. And under 5%, I believe, of lawyers in this country are Black. So if you look at the statistics,
like all lawyers?
All lawyers.
Wow.
So if you look at the statistics, I don't even like to use the word minority, but we know that we are underrepresented.
Huge.
Severely, sorely underrepresented in not just the legal profession, but in elected office as Black women. And so there have been things that my counterparts have been doing for years, like utilizing their prosecutorial discretion. Usually that looks like letting their friends, children off, or giving opportunities for second chances for those who look like them and who they can relate to. But then when I decide to use my prosecutorial discretion to say I'm not prosecuting marijuana, or I'm going to charge a police officer,
Don't talk about it yet, because I want to get into it.
Okay, we can get into. I'm
Yeah.
not going. I'm not going
Right.
there. I'm gonna let y'all. I'm gonna
Right,
let you lead.
right. Because I'm very proud of that. Like, if there's any one thing that I'm really proud of what you've done in office, it's absolutely that.
Okay,
and I'm sorry,
we're going to let her finish. We're going to let her finish.
Like, I'm getting passionate.
We're going to let her
Okay, go ahead,
finish,
go ahead.
sir.
Yeah, so those are just a couple of examples of the use of prosecutorial discretion, but also, just being a woman, doing what I feel like doing as a woman. You all, I know, but we made a music video with, my husband, my son. It was one of his beats that he did not like. He lost a bet from my husband and had to give him the beat to rap on. So we rapped.
Okay.
And, most people liked it, but then you had a couple people. Oh my God, you need to resign. Just pure foolishness that you got, again, my counterparts who've been out here doing everything and anything under the sun, and nobody has a word to say. And so I have had these, experiences where, people want to challenge me on what I decide to do as a woman. People want to challenge me on me making the decisions with my prosecutorial discretion, and then having nobody come to your defense.
Right.
And I won't say nobody, because I do have people coming to my Flood will ride. There are people who will ride for me, and those people in my community ride for me frequently and consistently. But, when you hear these things going into the news and there's no one stepping up to say as loudly as those negative voices are, you get to be a full woman. You get to make the decisions that you want to make as a professional, as somebody who knows what you're doing. It can be hurtful. And that's why I am all for fighting for women to do what they feel they need to do, because we sacrifice so much. So it's been filled with sacrifice. It's been filled with having to shoulder a lot of heavy weight, from pushing past the negativity and just understanding that there's a greater mission, that we have a community to change.
For sure.
And we have, futures, children's futures at stake. And moving past all of that ugliness with the misogynoir to just say, I'm not going anywhere. You have to deal with it, and you're going to have to take me with whatever I decide to give you as a woman, on top of utilizing my power as a prosecutor.
Yeah. Did you feel like you had to make a lot of cultural adjustments for people who didn't understand how you were expressing yourself? Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
wow.
She said no.
The
Oh,
cultural adjustments that I made were,
No.
I helped to create an office that reflected the makeup of the community.
Okay.
So there were adjustments, sure, but it wasn't an adjustment on me.
Right.
Because you go get whatever I'm given 100% of the time. Because once again, this is heavy. This is not easy when you are dealing with, I talk to on most days somebody who's lost a child. Or on the reverse end, I'm talking to somebody who has been harmed by the system. Or I'm encountering people who have been victims of systemic racism. And it's heavy when you care. So it is heavy for me. And so when I decide to put a video on my Instagram reel with me dancing on Thursday nights like I like to do, I go do line dancing.
Right.
If my stomach is out, my mama is going to say, are you sure you want to have that video up with your stomach out? And I'm going to say yes. I'm sure I'm going to. So, I just have to be who I am.
It's very inspiring, because you would think that in a lot of cases, you make all these adjustments to say, let me make sure I fit in.
Right.
Let me make sure I'm not offending or making, ruffling too many feathers. But you're like, girl, listen, I'm here. Okay.
Right.
I worked hard to be here. I deserve to be here. So you're going to take it.
See that.
Absolutely.
I need our children to see that.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I need them to know, not only are there people who look like you, but there are people who are you, who are of the community, who, have different interests, there's so many different things that I share with young people when I get to engage with them, so that they can understand that. Don't even just look at me and say oh, I can be like her. Just understand that whatever you are, you can be you. Right. And you can bring that to the table, and you can make everything so much better, because there will be people who are relying on you to see the differences in them. So that's critical for me.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So let's pivot a little bit and talk about voting. Will, Will, you are seriously, because I know this is something that you're really passionate about, especially around election time, whether it's local, whether it's federal. After hearing everything that she said about our culture and how it represents us, and establishing a culture within her office that looks like us, I want you to berate people like you normally do when it comes to your voting, like the importance of it. Be Will like your phone bill.
Okay. I mean,
All
all right. Well, wasn't expecting that question, but I mean, I think when it comes to voting around election time, I think it's very important. I think people, one, I'll start with celebrities. I like to target celebrities mostly because we have celebrities who are not affected by the things that people in our local community are affected by, who might say, let's say the national election, might get on TV and say, well, I'm not voting for what's his name, Biden until he does this, that, and the third. And that soundbite might travel to our community, and they hear people like Diddy saying that and say, well, Diddy say I shouldn't vote for Biden yet because he hasn't done X, Y, and Z. I think it's important that we don't send those messages out because that vote right there that could have been for Biden goes towards Trump people still voting for him. I was watching a video online this morning, and I wanted to talk to you about it, where it talked about the voting rights of people who are previously incarcerated. And in Norway, I think they say that people who go to jail get to keep those rights that are the basic civil rights that are given to them before going to jail. So when they come out, those rights are still given to them. They can still continue that. What are you doing? I read about you having a Control-Alt-Delete program going on that I think you formed or started. What are you doing in our process to give those voting rights back or help those people get voting rights back in our local community here? Because those voting for somebody like you who impact a community, voting for somebody who might be a senator or a representative who will directly impact our community is very important. If these people don't know that these programs exist, these people don't know that they can fight back for their rights to vote, then we don't get people like you in those offices to help us out and help the culture completely, having a good representation of us in office. So what are we doing with those programs? First off, talk about the program first.
Yeah.
And let us know what you're doing with those programs to help us out.
Yeah. So
this is my first time hearing about it today, too.
Okay, yeah. So Control-Alt-Delete was formed in 2015. That's when I got elected. So about a month after taking office, I formed that and the Future Leaders Initiative. So Future Leaders Initiative is for kids. So maybe we can come back to that if we get time. But Control-Alt-Delete is for those who have been previously incarcerated or are incarcerated, and helping to educate them not just about restoration of voting rights and other civil rights, but also getting them to understand like the ways that they can successfully transition back into the community without having a hard time. So it's, the program started off just in the community at seminars, but in 2016, I started going in prisons. So I took the program to St. Bride's. We've been to Indian Creek. I've even been to a prison in New York. Wow. To share about not just the restoration of rights process, which has become streamlined. You actually go through the Secretary of the Commonwealth and you can fill out the application online. That's a challenge for some who have been incarcerated because you've been in for 20 years, you don't know how to go online. It's a deterrent. So one, walking people through that process, talking to them about job preparedness, really giving, actual seminars, giving sample resumes, talking about what to wear, not to wear Timbs, what to actually wear, where to go to get clothes, a list of 100 employers who will actually employ people who have felony convictions, talking about probation. Actually took a probation officer with me one time and talked about how to actually be successful in probation, because unfortunately that's what a lot of people have to deal with, how to deal with your fines and fees so that you're not ending up getting your check garnished when you get a job because of fines and fees. Really all of the actual things that create barriers for people when they come out for actually being successful. COVID happened, unfortunately. The next phase was going to be to actually talk about business formation because a lot of people were incarcerated. It's still so hard. Even when we give them employers, some people don't desire to work for somebody. They have ideas. They want to have a business. Yeah. That was the next phase. So when things open back up and we can go back into the prisons and we can, do what we were doing again, the next phase is going to be business formation. So it's really a holistic approach to saying like, hey, I know that traditionally the prosecutors are the people who put you here and they don't support you. But also it sends a message that if we support you in your reentry, there's really no reason why the rest of the community would not embrace you and support you.
Are these programs? I know this is something that you started on a local level here in Portsmouth.
Yeah, my office.
Is this something is there a bigger program out there for people who are, let's say, outside of our community, other states and stuff? states that are doing something that
No
will help
idea.
you.
No idea. I mean, this is my program. This is something that,
And
and
this
so
is
when we talk about, using your power, I said, I'm doing this because I can.
I just got chills because that. I mean, people don't know these things. People are coming out and they're we call it correctional facility. It's supposed to correct behavior, but they're it's not being corrected. They're being treated like animals. And when they come out, these basic rights that they're supposed to have, they don't know where to go to get these things. And this is something you're doing here, and I don't know what's available out there for anybody else who's outside of Portsmouth, outside in different states or cities and stuff like that. And it's really shocking that people are not giving information like that.
No, it's and another thing is, one thing that we had to really try hard to master, and that's why I started going into prisons, was trying to get the information to the people who need it.
Right.
It's one thing to feel good about yourself because, I held a seminar. I put a press release out. It got covered. Okay, well, did it reach anybody?
Yeah.
And so going into the prison and actually communicating with people before they came out, that was one way to reach 300 people at a time and make sure that they understand what's going on. And I've had some of these people call me when they've gotten out and, I'm doing this now. Can you support this? Or I got this issue. Can you help with that? So it really is something that was done out of just a desire to help because I could. But there are also other states that have different processes. And that's important to acknowledge too.
Okay.
Some states have automatic restoration of rights. Some states like Virginia, have had advancements where before it used to be you had to pull like all these records and do all these things, and it was very difficult. It's a lot easier now. But we also have to understand as a country that we don't have a basic standard process. All of the states have different things.
Right.
And so some states have it where it's almost impossible to get your rights back. Other states may have it be automatic. As you said, other countries, and across the globe, you can still vote. I mean, so we also have to acknowledge too that when you talk about voting and wanting people to vote, these legislators, we got to have these conversations with the state legislators, people at the federal level. How can we create a more just society where we're not losing basic civil rights over things like, that are not dangerous? So inherently, if somebody has a felony charge for selling marijuana, inherently that's not dangerous. But we have people right now who, even though this has been legalized, are sitting there incarcerated and cannot vote.
Let me ask one last question before I turn back over to you, Flo. So what will one of our listeners who might be local do to help you
that was
with
my next
that,
question. Like,
with
if
what you're
somebody wanted
doing?
to
If
volunteer,
volunteer help, do something.
support,
How can
like,
we?
yeah.
Because this is all, like I said, this is all new to me. So if there's something I want to do, where do I start from?
Like, how are you getting the word out, like, right now? Like, what's the medium that you're using mostly to, like, is it word of mouth? Is it just...
No, it has been. So in the past, when we were doing it in the community, I'm not talking about in the prison, because obviously when we go into prison, they they come. 'Cause
Right.
they're like, they want to see what's going on.
Right.
But in the community, we have done press releases. We have sent letters to churches. We've sent letters to schools. We've done, and that's both for Control, Alt, Delete and our Future Leaders Initiative program. We've sent information to civic leagues. We've tried a variety of different methods. The problem is, like, unless you go physically and just go to different things in the community, it's not as effective. Okay. It's just people are not responsive to something. First of all, like, let's be clear, everybody doesn't know me as a person.
Right.
So when they see something coming out of the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, the prosecutor's office,
and they're like, I'm good.
Right.
and so a lot of my community, I grew up there. So I do know more people than most politicians. And because of the engagement that I've done over the past 6 years of being elected, I know even more people. So there's a different level of trust, yes. But initially, there had to be work.
So there's a lot of reservation from the community.
Well, and then also there's a stigma. So when you're talking about Control, Alt, Delete, what I found was this was such an interesting phenomenon. And this is, again, why I started going in the prison. There were wives, mothers, girlfriends who were there on behalf of somebody who did not want to come because of the embarrassment of having this label of being a quote-unquote convicted felon
Right.
and not being treated like a human, not being treated like somebody who is, a regular member of our community, our society, but who was not given a second chance, who didn't grow up in equitable conditions and maybe made some mistakes because they were dealing with trauma, Now I'm not gonna say that we don't have some people who are just downright evil. And we know that we do.
Right.
But overwhelmingly, this system of mass incarceration that has impacted Black people, a lot of this is because of the conditions that this society has created.
I love to hear it.
And so unfortunately, there is embarrassment when I have people who I went to school with, who I'm friends with, who don't want to show up to this program because they don't want to be seen in that light, but they need the help. So we're dealing with a lot of different things. We're dealing with getting the word out. We're dealing with some people who are like, I don't know about the Commonwealth office, but overwhelmingly, we're dealing with a stigma too. So there's a lot. And we try to hit it from every angle. I would announce it on social media, all different kinds of stuff. But right now, like, the best thing to do is, tap in on social media, stay connected, because that's how the announcements are usually made. And then when people are serious, they'll DM, and I'll send them the email address for my office, where if they really want to volunteer, or if they have, more often than not, it's not wanting to volunteer, it's somebody who has issues around, conviction integrity, somebody who's been falsely convicted years ago, or things that traditionally my office hasn't dealt with before I got there, but we try to help. So even whether it's people who want to help or whether it's people who need help, I have communicated with people in whatever way. However they can reach me. Now, of course, I redirect them to my office. But however you can get me, like, social media has been an excellent tool. I have people coming through on all mediums who have gotten help.
So So there's two things that I really just want to just put out on the forefront. The first thing, when it comes to your career, obviously, because I've been following you since day one, there has been talks of police reform, unarmed killing of Black folks and things like that. You have a special place in the climate of police officers killing unarmed Black folks specifically, because we ain't really talking to folks. Can you tell me about why you're what have you done specifically that no other attorney has done when it comes to the actual prosecution?
Okay, so about 3 months after taking office, which I took office in February 2015, April 2015, William Chapman II, who was 18 years old, was killed in Portsmouth by a police officer. He was unarmed, and I indicted that police officer.
That's very rare.
And then I decided that I was going to try that case myself first chair. And I took the case through a year's worth of pretrial motions with my team, had a week-long jury trial, and ended up with a voluntary manslaughter conviction. The officer went to prison. He went for 2.5 years. We asked for the max. This is why we have to talk about jury service too and how important that is, because the members of the jury made that decision. But ultimately it was a very rare thing to have, an indictment followed by a conviction. And, no knocks to any other elected prosecutors, but this was the first one that I had seen.
One that's important.
I decided, because this is the first one in my jurisdiction, I'm doing it myself. Because I'm not going to ask the attorneys in my office to do anything that I won't do. And so I did the case myself because I knew I needed it to be done a certain way. And that's how we ended up with, the results that we did. But it was so important to have, number one, a connection with his family.
What?
I still talk to his cousin, Mr. Lewis, frequently, and having a connection with the community while this was going on. There were challenges, again, that we talk about, that treatment of Black women. I had some attacks from people and organizations that you would think would be in support. And it was just a very interesting situation where you feel like attacks are coming from all angles. But you're trying to do the right thing. And, it was very heavy. But I wouldn't do anything differently. So that puts me in a very different position as we've experienced what we did as a country, over the past year. I get really upset and frustrated when I hear people act like we can't get these convictions because I've gotten one.
Hey.
And I did not have a video. That's another thing. There was no body cam video. There was taser footage. There was sound, but the incident itself was not captured on video. So these cases now where there is video,
should be easy, right?
I'm not impressed. You know,
Right.
when I see people running from these, because I know what it's like to fight this fight
Right.
with no video, with nobody having your back,
Right.
just trying to do the right thing. And you know, and another thing is this conversation around qualified immunity. If you guys know what that is, it is actually a civil form of accountability. And so people have been talking about ending qualified immunity, which is important to do, because what happens is when police are held accountable, members of the community, taxpayers, are paying and not the police officers themselves.
Oh.
That's what qualified immunity means. So ending qualified immunity, yes, there is importance there, but that does not, because there's qualified immunity, that does not stop people from holding police officers criminally accountable.
Right.
So these, you know, there's been a lot of conversations that need to be had around this accountability discussion. But, you know, ultimately this goes back to the beginning where we talk about what the system was built on, and all systems of power in our country have systemic racism embedded in them. And until we're willing to say at the outset of this process of, you know, having police, if that's what we're going to do, to ensure that we don't have racists. Like, you know, people are not asking the question up front. Do you not like black people? Do you not like members of the LGBT plus community? Do you not like members of the marginal? Like, these questions are not being asked.
Right, for sure.
But other questions are being asked, you know, and so until we commit to asking the right questions and demanding that we root racists out of this system and stop trying to sensitivity train and bias train ourselves out of these issues, we're not going to see a real change. So I'm here for accountability. I'm here for mutual respect. I don't have to be best friends, you know, but this accountability issue runs really deep with me, and I have been willing to put myself on the line, you know, in my first year of elected office, and I want to see more elected officials and elected prosecutors who will fight that fight.
What do you think is the biggest hesitation, like, amongst your colleagues that are not, you know, forging ahead and saying, yeah, you're right? I mean, and we have a lot of evidence to support the fight. So what do you think the biggest hesitation is?
So there's a few things. One is that there are a lot of people who just flat out like the status quo.
Right.
They don't want to hold people accountable. And so, you know, we have to deal with that. Everybody is not ignorant. So a lot of people are acting like, oh, I didn't know this was going on.
Right.
No, yes, you do.
Yeah.
It's
pretty.
For sure.
No, you know what's going on. So the reality is some people who act like they can't do it, no, they don't want to do it. That's one. But then you do have some people who are operating out of fear. I'm not scared, you know, and so I did what I did because I'm not scared. There were a lot of people saying like, don't do that, you know. And then when I did indict, other people were saying, okay, don't let somebody else try the case. You don't do it. You got to come up for re-election in another, because I came in on a special. So my re-election was coming up. So people were like, what if it loses?
You're
like,
doing too much.
Or what if you lose? What if you win? Like, you know, the re-election. So you got people who really operate from a place of fear. They worry about themselves. And my thing is, as soon as I start worrying about who's going to like it, or will I be unelected, I'm going to automatically start making the wrong decisions. I can't worry about that while I'm doing this job. I have to do what's right. And if that results in the people saying like, okay, we want to go a different direction, cool, I could live with that. But I can't operate out of a place of fear of what might happen to my job or what will somebody think about me. And then there's a lot of people who just want to be friends. You know, we got to work with them every day. We got to have a good relationship with the police. Okay, what about your relationship with the community? You know, what about your relationship with the community?
I'm gonna need you to find another button.
I like the gunshot.
I'm gonna need you to find another button.
Excuse me, guys. I like the gunshot.
Yeah, so I mean, you know,
Easy day.
that's cool to have a good relationship.
Yeah.
But I'm here to make sure that we have a good relationship with the community, and that we're here to protect the rights of the people in our community who for so long, they have not been protected. They have not been invested in.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a question.
Right. You squirming over there. What's going on?
No, so, you know, I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about, this might be off, but I'm thinking about the O.J. Simpson case. This is years ago. We had a black prosecutor on the case. who was trying a black man who was very permanent in the black community. Well, supposedly permanent, but he was more so, he had his white friends. Have you had cases where you had to be sort of not against the community or stand up for what was right, but in an uncomfortable place for the community?
Oh, I'm uncomfortable every day. And so, as somebody who sits in this seat,
Okay.
As a black woman, knowing that this is a system of mass incarceration, I'm uncomfortable every day. But the problem is anybody who is given this amount of responsibility who's not uncomfortable every day really shouldn't be in this spot. So I have a lot of people who ask me like, oh, as a black woman, like, how does it feel? Oh, it feels, really messed up sometimes as I'm trying to fight to get this right. But if it doesn't feel really messed up for my white counterparts, they shouldn't be there. Period. And that's not what we need right now. In this moment, we know that like we need transformative change, the incremental, we're moving the needle. That's not good enough. Like all of those little comments that, we're making progress, we're making it's baby steps. Nope, that's a failure. So like anybody who is not of the mind that we need transformative change and they're not squirming, trying to figure out how to get this right every day, that's not what we need. So that's my everyday, but that should be everybody's everyday.
I'm glad you brought that up because a few episodes we had a topic about critical race theory. I'd like to get your take on that.
No, you already know.
Okay.
Like you already know. I mean, like, like if we're going to teach the history, teach all of it, and that's why so many of us, I know as a child, once again, I talked about like being the same person. I don't think y'all understand how much I'm the same person I was when I was a little girl. Like literally, I was in school. Like, no, that ain't what.
That don't even make sense.
Right.
That's not. No, that's not. And not wanting to, just. I understood things back then that I still understand now. And my children, same thing, that the history or like we got to celebrate Columbus Day in school. Like, no, I don't feel like playing these games with y'all and neither do our children. And so like anybody who wants to err on the side of not telling the truth, I have a problem with that.
Well, it's not so much not telling the truth, is what is this truth going to What results?
Well,
is it going to cause more of a divide between?
I don't care. Okay. Like we're already divided. We're already disenfranchised. We're already marginalized. Look, he's looking. He can't find the button.
You got to chill.
No, I mean, why is it always on black people to keep the peace?
Right.
Like, and to keep. We're going to be divided. We're already divided. If your parents or if you have had, and now we have the benefit of the internet. So if people are learning our real history as a country and they're going to school and ingesting something that they know is factually incorrect and it's a history that's, put in place to make some people feel good about themselves and we feel very divided internally. Oh, so other people are experiencing discomfort? Maybe you need to experience discomfort. And you won't do some of these things that we're experiencing out here in the community.
He's so happy right now.
I appreciate. I haven't been so happy on set in my entire life. Echoed all the things that I've been saying.
I know you haven't said much.
No, I mean I'm just enjoying my time here, and I appreciate it. Let's shift gears a little thing because people need to be able to support you. It's important that people support you, even people outside of the Portsmouth community, because the things that you've done, the impact that you have as a black and woman and all of these things. You wrote a book. I bought the book. I posted it. I plastered it all over my social media accounts.
Thank you.
I have a nerd group that I keep that book posted on there. Like if y'all into children's books or anything like that, you have to buy this one first before I approve anybody else's. And that's just how I'm rocking out right now. So can you tell us about your book, please?
Yes, the book is called The Day I Became a Lawyer. And it's actually the story about me when I was about 6. I tell this story all the time with my Future Leaders Initiative, where I bring children. I've had over 200 shadows, mentees, and fellows at this point to come into my office. And then I go into schools all the time. And I always talk to them about my experience of how I decided that I wanted to become a lawyer. I can't tell the story because otherwise y'all won't buy the book.
Right.
But
Right.
the important thing to take away is that I had a mom who was very in tune with who I was as a little girl. And
She keeps me together from time to
Interesting.
time. Good night.
Interesting.
She'll keep
She was
me
in
together.
tune with who you were
Yes.
already.
at 6.
She didn't have to
No.
Here we
feed
go.
it to you.
No.
Okay.
Listen, we're not gonna go back to previous episodes.
Yeah, I feel like this is above me at this
Yeah,
point.
right.
Go
But
ahead.
They
But-
were going
but
on
she-
a previous episode about
Right.
parenting styles,
Okay.
and they were as divided as you could be. But keep going. I'm sorry.
well, I'm gonna ask y'all the question. This is what I always do, and this is not in the book. But what can y'all tell about me that I like? Just from this short amount of time being together.
I'll be last.
Okay.
Kadeem, you have to participate too.
Put in the spot.
Can't
Damn.
participate.
I'm next to
I
last.
got you.
No, you have.
So
to
I'll go next to
participate.
last.
So
What do I like to do? That's what I'll say. What is something that I like? What do I like to do?
Keep it real.
Okay.
I think that you like sharing your insight. Like, I feel like you like talking and engaging and like, you know, but I feel like you also, you know what I'm saying? When you walked in, I was like, yes, she's a girl. You know,
Yeah.
cuteness.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Right back at you. Right
Yes,
back at you.
Bill.
You know what? I was on your website earlier.
he gets to roll his
I did. I mean, I enjoy everything you said so far. I think you want to give back to our younger generation. I saw you. I wanted us to talk about it for a second, but the social media by status. I wanted you to brief on that. I think, and then the Young Leaders Initiative. Based on those two things, I think you want to give back and you enjoy giving back to our younger generation. You want to pass that knowledge on to other people. So
Okay.
Kadeem.
He said he
Oh.
said keep
keep it real.
Oh, keep it real. Okay, my bad. I missed it.
Look,
So it's on me, huh?
Yeah.
Yes,
Being cute.
oh,
Well,
wow.
I mean, she walked in here looking really nice.
That's
so.
what
what I
I.
like.
The final
Being
answer. Being cute.
You guys can't see, but she got heels on everything. So she's head to toe.
Yes.
That was so shady.
Okay.
Look,
Wish we had
all
a
the
shoe
shade.
cam. We did a shoe cam.
All the
look.
shade.
What do you like?
She got it.
Okay.
Talking. So there was, and I'm 6-year-old me. Like, so you gotta, and I did like being cute back then too. But had my little purses and everything. But
Yes.
nevertheless,
6?
Yes.
Me and your
Okay.
mom gotta have a conversation.
Yes.
you seen my daughters, right?
Oh yeah, I did. Right. For sure.
Yeah. So I always had the notation, and I asked the kids, I'm like, what was always on my report card? That's the version I asked them. I'm like, and they're like, A's. And I'm
Loves to
like,
talk.
No, they're like, B's? And I'm like, not that. C's? And I'm like, no, there was something written. And the teacher will always say talkative. Like every time in the classroom, the teacher will always. So I was busy. I was a busy child.
Right.
And one thing that she took me to court just to visit, and I just related with all the activity, But now, in retrospect, I think what I was relating to also was this desire to fight for fairness, this desire to, and I never, let's be clear, I never wanted to be a prosecutor, ever. I didn't want to do criminal law. I thought I was going to do intellectual property.
Okay.
So another thing was that I try to talk to young people about being flexible with themselves too, keeping an open mind. And while you may set your mind on your goals early, give yourself room to grow too.
Yes.
So that
Huge.
book is an extension of my engagement with young people to really get them to see somebody who looks like them, from being a child on to accomplishing their goal, but also understanding that it's okay not to go the same path as everybody else, not to necessarily want to do the options that are immediately presented to you, but to take a little bit longer to figure out what you want to do and to find something that actually fits you as a person and not allowing that career to shape you. Because I'll have conversations with people and I'll argue, you acting like a lawyer. No, I'm acting like me. I just found a career that fit who I am as a person.
Yeah.
Because I would fuss with you when I was little until you was ready to stop. And so that book is really special to me and my family, because we wanted to have something to extend that outreach and to send it as far as we could, and to show like little brilliant Black children, you can accomplish whatever you desire as long as you believe in yourself.
Well, I
That is
plan
awesome.
on getting that book.
Yeah,
Again, the
definitely.
book is called The Day I Became a Lawyer.
Yes.
Before we even go any farther, you was talking about young people. I want you to just give me 30 seconds on what social media about the status is, that initiative is, and also future leader initiative. I read online. I know what it is, but I want our audience to know what you're working on.
Yeah, so
young people.
Future Leaders Initiative, another one that came a month in 2015 to my first term, has been going on since 2015, where bringing the young people into the office, having them to take them through the court system. So when I say we, my lawyers are involved, but I'm always there. So for Control Alt Delete, I'm always at the prison. I'm always with the programs. Future Leaders Initiative, I'm always with the kids. I'm always a part of this because I need them to see the person from their community who's just like that, was raised and came from Truxton, and know that they can, do the same thing. So it's really about having positive exposure. A lot of time we think about people in the law field and people want to do scared straight stuff with kids. No, sir, I don't want to do scared straight with y'all. Y'all are brilliant. Y'all are brilliant. Y'all are the next me. I want somebody to pick up the ball and run with what I did and take it to the next level. I'm not treating you like, I'm preparing you for incarceration. I'm preparing you for success.
Right.
So this is about saying like, this office is your office. I'm an elected official, but I'm a public servant first. So this means that this is open to you for you to come in here, see what's going on, learn. I let them meet my people, what prosecutors do, what defense attorneys do. I introduce them to judges. I don't ask for permission. I just show up in people's courtrooms and they see kids and they get excited, because we've been dealing with adults all day. And so everybody's always happy to talk to the kids. Some judges have let them come and sit up on their bench, and when you have set up there as a child, that is a different thing. You can envision something different for yourself. So I have pictures of them, like some of them sitting up there. Or I have pictures of others like with the judge. They're surrounding the judge, talking to the judge. Even the court reporters talk to them, so they learn everything that's going on. We've had mock jury trials. So some of them have, sometimes parents will stay during the summer. We make them be the jurors, or, some of the kids will be the jurors and they'll put on a trial. I mean, we've done so many different things to really open these kids' minds up.
Wow.
He even came one time because I decided to have a little career day and have not just lawyers, but, learn from somebody who has businesses doing what they like to do. So he came and talked to the kids about what he does, and they were looking like, wow, this is cool. So it's really about exposure, about getting them to see what they can do and what they can become. And social media by the statutes is about, again, not scared straight, but we go into the school and we talk to them about their behaviors on social media, how that can impact their lives, because it's about education. Sometimes they don't know, like if you're up here saying something that could be construed as a threat, you could potentially be engaging in something that could get you a felony. And now we're talking about another young person whose life is destroyed because they didn't understand what they were doing. Nobody took the time to tell them. So all of it with the children is really about having them be successful, having them remove whatever barriers could potentially be in their way. Again, like whenever the schools, I have one teacher who was my teacher in high school, Mr. Knight. He calls my cell phone and says, hey, it's time. I need you to come talk to my kids. And I will go to the high school and I'll have a conversation with his kids about what I do. And sometimes we'll even get into, they want to talk about some of their friends who've gotten in trouble. And we talk about what it means to be in concert of action, what it means to potentially be held responsible for somebody else's actions because you're present, how important it is to watch the company you keep. And some of the things that, again, are not scared straight, but are about making sure that we set you up for success, that you understand how to avoid certain things. But then it's up to me to use my prosecutorial discretion. It's up to the members of the legislature to change the law to provide opportunities for second chances, because everybody does not have that benefit of having the engagement with somebody
consistently.
Yeah. And then coming out of COVID where everything got shut down.
Right.
I did as much as I could reading virtually. I thought I was going to pull my hair out from Zoom.
I can't stand it.
But I was, reading the kids virtually in the area, in Chicago and other, anybody who would ask for me to engage virtually with the kids, I would do it. I recorded some, sent it off, just to be present for them. They really just, above all of that is one thing, but for them to see somebody showing up for them because they care, That's all important. And you don't have to be the Commonwealth attorney to do that. They really want to see and engage with people who are, not going to try to be cool with them and, try to whatever, but who are just going to show them that they care. And so that's what all of those programs are about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So, in conclusion, this was amazing. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you did an amazing job for once.
Whatever.
I'll see you later.
So
I see you later today, sir.
Right. So,
we'll take that up later.
Yeah. In conclusion, we like to we have a segment where we call a break or build. I throw out a topic, and without a whole lot of explanation, we talk about how it affects the community. And you got to think about all of the angles. So I have a topic or a word, and I want to know if you think that it positively impacts build the community or negatively impacts break the community. And I am going to start with sports, and I'll start for a change. It's a break.
Sports, just sports.
Sports in general.
In
for
general?
the black community, it's a break. Who's next?
Wait,
Who's next?
you know what?
Go ahead, William.
It is a break for me too. We're not all going to be professional basketball players. We're all not going to be going to Olympics. Get out. If you're not doing good,
Kadeem's
get out,
bothered.
get out of the sport and go to school, learn other
got it.
trades, do something else. Sports is not for everybody, and we all pull so much into it. It's not.
Oh, you
it's
want
a break.
Because you ain't said nothing.
All right, Kadeem, you up.
Yeah.
You already know how I feel, bro.
Oh my
As
God.
as a coach of the youth, it's definitely a build.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody doesn't have to be a professional, but there are lessons learned between
Yeah.
all those lines.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zaya.
I'm gonna say it's a build.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen so much character come from the sports that my son, like literally my son's father had them in sport, and I was kind of opposed to Pee Wee football because it was contact, and I was just like, my baby's getting hit, and but at
Right.
the end of the day, he was like, I'm raising black men. They need to be occupied. They need to be with me, because he was always their coach as well. But it was very much a build for me to see them. And you know how I feel about it. Like, you could do it or not do it.
Right.
But if you're going to do it to your best ability. And
Right.
if you're not going to do it, then what else are we going to do?
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm a build.
Definitely a build. It is community.
Community,
It is
character.
community.
I can't
And
believe you, bro.
I know. This is the second time.
What was,
break or
what was
build.
your reason for it being
Yeah,
a break?
yeah, you
'Cause
just
I
said
give my-
break
I
and
give my
move on.
reason. What was-
Let
go
her
ahead.
finish, and then
Yes.
I'll go into why it's absolutely a break.
So it's not just sports, it's also arts. So when you think about dance, that's like a hybrid sport, that's an art.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cheerleading, I mean,
Yes.
everybody thinks about sports and they think
Football,
boys.
basketball, right.
They think boys, but my daughters are very serious about tennis.
Right.
Nice.
And you also have to understand that there is some people develop a passion for these things, and they may know like this is not going to be my career. But we also, as well-adjusted adults, we need hobbies. We need things to do to keep us occupied and where we can enjoy life. So this also teaches. This also teaches how we actually can function as well-adjusted adults.
For sure.
So in college at Norfolk State, I was on Hot Ice, which is the dance team for the marching band.
Okay.
I had an academic scholarship, Thurgood Marshall scholarship. I became Miss Norfolk State, and I went on to attend law school while I had two sons. So we had our boys; they were 5 months and going on 2 when I started law school.
Right.
That balance of participating in activities that were athletic. I don't know if you know.
No, it is absolutely.
and
athletic.
and then still handling my business in the classroom, still working to achieve. That taught me how to manage. Where I had sons in law school, I then got on the moot court team, which is a prestigious thing to achieve. Traveled with that,
Right.
And now as an adult, I have my career. I do things with my children. I go to my little line dancing class. I read my medieval fantasy. I watch my little anime. I do all these things. Sometimes I come and deal with you and your nonsense. And all of these things were taught because of the foundation of dance that I grew up doing as a little girl at Gail Hart's Dance Studio in Portsmouth, Virginia. cheerleading at IC Norcom High School while doing everything else that I was doing. So it's not just about the mindset of, I'm going to be a professional athlete. It's also about community and about creating well-adjusted children who are going to be well-adjusted adults.
I'm next.
A lot of people don't know how to draw that line.
Like,
though.
hold on. I'm next. So you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But as a black person from the inner city, there's no balance. All of my friends, literally, that's all we did. We didn't do homework. I'm being serious. We went to football practice.
We went up. Interject when you're done.
First of all, I'm from Norfolk. I'm from. It's very different.
No.
It is very different.
No.
When you're from the inner city, and that's the only thing that you have, which was literally all of my friends. Like, you couldn't hang around us if you weren't into.
Well, what else
sport.
would you be doing?
So why is it a break? That's what I'm trying to
Here's the thing.
understand.
Why can't we do other things?
We can.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen. So my reasoning. So here's the thing. So here's the other. This is what I'm trying to say. Black folks specifically, because this is the Friction podcast for black folks.
Right.
We
Let me
need
push a
to be
button.
able to have that same balance
button.
that you had. Your mom is amazing.
Yes, she is.
You know what I'm saying? Even when it comes to training your sons, she tells me about stuff that ain't got nothing to do with what we got going on in the gym. She be like, well, my sons is doing, and I'm just like, listen, I understand, but like, she created that.
Yeah.
We didn't have none of my friends had that balance.
Hold on,
Let me finish, sir. Let me finish, sir. We didn't have, like, kids in the inner city don't have that balance because that's literally the only thing that we have. The only thing. I'm not exaggerating.
But nobody's come up.
But it doesn't break the community.
No, it doesn't break.
It doesn't.
It doesn't progress because so we're chasing something that literally the 1% can only attain.
That's
And what happens hold on. What happens when you become an adult? I was lucky. You know that. I was lucky. You know that.
Whatever.
I was lucky and you know that. We're talking about people who devote everything that they are to something that they're 9.5 times out of 10 will not get.
So then should people not look at what I'm doing? Because I'm 2%.
Facts.
Wait. But even if you decide not to be a prosecutor, don't you got your law degree?
Yeah.
no. She was
that's
referring
not
to
the
she was
point,
referring to
though.
the law side.
Oh,
She's
shit.
2%.
I'm not shooting no gunshot.
That is what sports teaches you, bro.
No.
How to win and lose.
But so also the other thing is like access
important.
is the other thing. Like people don't have the access to know that you can be a lawyer. I would
I didn't
argue
have it. I had no lawyers in my family.
your
My mother
mom
was just creative.
is everything.
Yes, she
Cut that
is.
out.
Yes, she is.
Stop, bro.
My mom and my
Kadeem.
dad,
But what
and
is
I
that,
love
Kadeem?
them, but my
Kadeem.
dad told me straight up, look, you either running track or you going in the military. What the fuck?
The parents nowadays are not like that. And you know that the kids you train are not like that. They're
not.
Yeah, none of them. Even the ones in the inner city.
Right.
They know I have to have
It's a
these
different time.
Yeah. So stop talking about that old shit.
No.
No.
But do you know that some of the athletes would not get the grades they needed to get if they couldn't play sports?
Wouldn't.
If
I
you
was
don't, and
definitely
there are
one of them.
there are some people in the community who are trying to come up with strategies for other things for children to do other than sports. But until you have that in place, because you're like, they didn't do other things. Okay, what are those other things? Because if you take away sports, then what are these kids going to do? Like, look at what has happened.
hit a button.
Look at what no, but the pandemic has showed us that we're experiencing violence not just in Portsmouth or Norfolk,
it's crazy
but all
out here.
over this country because of people being out of their element, and
Right.
young people have been impacted by this so heavily because their sports, their activity, their school
Was
has
all
been
cut
taken away
off.
from them.
Right.
You know, some kids eat during school. You know,
Yep.
we have food insecurity issues. Some kids get their love from their coaches.
Right.
Yep.
What happens when you take that away and you
Yep.
talk about we need to do something else? What's the something else? Because the something else during this pandemic has not been a positive impact.
We're going to figure it out.
I don't like you being in control of the sound.
We need our own buttons. We need our own
I think
buttons.
what he meant was that there has to be a good balance. Most of when he grew up years
Yeah,
ago,
but he also knows nowadays.
there wasn't a good
Years
balance.
ago.
Look,
It was
we're
just that.
we're
He knows
concluding everything. I was right. Everybody else was wrong.
No.
Y'all are terrible. Listen, we really appreciate you being here.
Yes, thank you.
Make sure y'all go in the comments and tell her how amazing she is. Will was on his
know what?
best behavior.
I've never
was on
voted.
my
I'm
best
gonna vote because of you.
Make sure y'all
I
congratulate
am.
William for being on his best
I'm
behavior.
gonna vote because of her flood. My whole life has changed.
Well, good, because you know you anti everything.
No.
And I'll be working on you.
No.
Were you anti-voting?
I just love. I mean,
Yes.
I wasn't about
Don't-
that life. You
What?
already know that.
I did not know that.
Yes, you did.
That's for a different episode.
Listen, make sure you
No,
like,
she makes me want to vote. She
subscribe,
makes me want to.
comment.
Thank you.
Yes.
Go in the comment section. Congratulate Will for being on his best behavior.
I was.
Also in the description, I'm gonna post a link for you
The
guys to
book.
buy her book. That's super important. Make
I
sure
do
you
need y'all
buy.
to go vote too on November 2nd.
Yeah.
Oh, we should do a
unopposed
giveaway.
because
I'm
I
gonna
need
buy
y'all to
2
go vote.
books, and I'm gonna do a giveaway for people who are commenting. So like, we'll come up with something, but we'll do something in the comments, like maybe the first person to comment or something cool. We'll do a giveaway.
I like that.
You like
I'll
that?
sign
That's
it.
why we have
Look
you
at
here.
you
I'll
trying to help with the engagement. Look, trying to help with the engagement.
Yes.
Shout out to Just Another Media Company. Shout out to Kadeem.
Yeah.
He does all the behind the scenes stuff, man. He's amazing too. So we're out.
Yay.
Thank you.
This was dope.
Yeah,
you.
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Love what y'all are doing.
Thank you.